Good day and welcome to our preview for today at Fairview. We're racing on the poly track. Let's start with race 1. Race 1 is a maiden plate, and here my first selection is number 2, Andrea. It's not a big field, it's 8 horses. I was looking at number 3, Thomas Tucker, to be my first selection, but then I saw that Andrea and Thomas Tucker has met twice, and Andrea has finished in front of Thomas Tucker in both times. So my first selection is number 2, and then our other selections is number 1 and 3, obviously. And then an improver in this race, number 7, Surf in Africa. I had 2 runs, and I think this horse can improve today. When we go to the second race, here the strong favourite is number 1, Keeper of the Keys. Now I couldn't really find anything in this field that I think can beat this horse. My outsider selections for this race was number 4 and number 7. Now number 4 comes from Cape Town. Very that sort of fair form, but I think this horse can improve to maybe run into the places. As the same goes for number 7, it's only had 2 races, Green Edition. It's getting -2.5 on the jockey, and also outsider that can be placed. But I think number 2, Keeper of the Keys, will be too strong in this field. Then we move to race number 3. Race number 3, I looked at, and my selection is number 4, Gina's Girl, which is also my a value bet. Gina's Girl is currently 11-2. Gina's Girl is improving with racing. It's the first time that she goes over this distance, but if I look at the breeding, I think that would suit her. And Marco van Rensburg and Gavin Smith has had quite a number of winners lately, so my 4, Gina's Girl. She's she's by Wadi Hall, out of a Chan Causeway filly, so I would think the distance would suit her, and she's my selection to go in first. Other selections in this race that I like is number 6, and that is Fairland. Fairland is trained by Vic Redner and written by Wayne Agrela. It improved nicely in his last race over a 1900, which is today's distance, and I expect this horse to improve further. My other outsider selection in this race is number 11, Rumour Has It. Now this horse has only had 3 runs. Now it's by a dynasty out of King's Temptress. Now if I'm not mistaken, this King's Temptress, this was the horse that the trainer from Kimberley, name escapes, I'll get onto his name now, brought to Turpentine one day, and he won a future with her, and I think this horse will improve over this. Corey Linsley was the trainer from Kimberley. He brought this horse, King's Temptress, to run at Turpentine, and the horse won at something like 66-1. And then the owner took it away to his trainer in Durban, and the horse didn't really show it. So it just shows you sometimes there are, things doesn't always work out the way you want it. But I am talking about correction, but I'm sure I'm correct on that. Now this horse, Rumour Has It, is 20-1. I think it will improve over the distance. It has only run over 1,000 and 1,200 meters, and it's Adam Greer. So keep your eye out. Put this horse in your selections. It might just come up and surprise today. Then we move on to race 4. And race 4, my selection is number 2, Kentucky Blue. Now Kentucky Blue last time ran in a much higher division than she ran today. Today she's running in a division, in the G division, where the average minute rating is 70, and she ran against a horse like Madam Speaker, 1.25 lengths behind, and she was carrying 54. male and speaker was carrying 60. So she got a little bit of, but I mean, it was way above the class that she ran before. And this mare, it's by Dynasty. It's a well-bred mare, and they recently paid 1.1 million rand for the horse. Now, you don't pay 1.1 million rand for a horse if this horse doesn't have a confirmation and is a bit of a looker. So I'm sure this horse must have confirmation and must be a bit of a looker. So I think there is a strong bet that is also my best bet on the day. It's currently 2-1. Yeah, it's not something that I would take, that I would put the house on. But yeah, I think it's got a more than good chance to win this race. Then one of my outsiders that I recommend is number 6. Now number 6, Reconnaissance, comes from Gauteng and used to be with Mr. Nieuwenhuizen, and it has had a few runs here, but it's currently 50-1. I'm surprised to see it's 50-1, and you know, include that into your play. This horse looks like it's ready to improve in PE. So if this horse comes in quartets and trifectas, it might improve your payout. And also keep an eye out for number 5, Master Newton. Master Newton, a few runs back on the poly, has won 2 races in a row. It's getting -2.5 from Julius Mapanya, and it's also a horse that might place. So that is my outsiders for this race. And then also number 7, Mighty Rock. Keep an eye out for that one. They had it over longer distances, and then I brought it back to shorter distances. Now it's back over 69 meters. So do include it maybe in the back in the last and 3rd and 4th for your quartet. But it is a horse that can surprise. Number 7, Mighty Rock. Then we move on to race number 5. And race number 5 is a horse called Gold Coast. Now, Gold Coast is currently quoted at 17-10, which I can't see. This horse has run a few fair races, and it ran against Sir Frenzy half length behind on the Fairview track. It was the turf track. Now it's over poly. And I think it's because under 17-10, but now you have number 2, Let's Play Ball, which is my value bet. Let's Play Ball has had 2 runs on this course and distance and has won both of them. And this horse definitely ran last 2 times, ran on the turf. Back on the poly, he does have a good history on the poly. So I'm thinking Let's Play Ball is definitely going to give Gold Coast something to think about. And I would definitely not bank the number 1 Gold Coast in my pick 6. I did add number 2, Let's Play Ball. And also another horse that can surprise is number 3, Rings and Fins. Number 5, Coyote Creek has won 3 races in a row. Now any horse that can win 3 races in a row can't be a slouch. So that's also a horse that you must keep an eye out on. So definitely, that's why I'm saying, I mean, there is contenders in this race. It's not like number 1 Gold Coast is past the post. I don't say the horse can't win, but yeah, no, sometimes I also get it wrong. Yesterday at the fall, I made some statements about the horse, and the horse duly came and won the race, so I had a bit of an egg on my face, but I can take that. I'm a form analyzer, and sometimes I get it wrong. So, and also maybe a horse that you can keep an eye out and chuck it into your play is number 4, the Highwayman, Marco van Rensburg. This horse has got the ability to come up and surprise. It has won a few races. It's a hard knocker, and the type of selection that you would like to come into your quotation trifectas to boost the payment. So yeah, in my selections for this race, my selections was numbers 2, 3 and 4, being number 2 the one that I think can win the race. But also, as I said, number 5 is not out of it. That's why in my pick 6, I've got numbers 1, 2, 3 and 5. I would have liked to include number 4, if you can afford it, include that. unfortunately the cost, I tried to keep the cost a bit low. So yeah, that I did not include in my pick 6, but it certainly can come up. Then we move on to race number 6. Now, race number 6, my first selection is number 1, Luna Wish. It's 22 to 10, and I really think there's a strong contender to win this race. It does like the poly track. Last time it ran in that race behind Dancing in Seattle at 5.4 lengths, but I do know Dancing in Seattle beat horses from Cape Town that day, but it was like 16 to 1 or something. I just can't remember what was the horse's name that he beat, but yeah, it was a strong field, so Luna Wish is down in class. But I also think she'll get some stiff competition from number 2, Brandina. Previously there was a lot of talk about this horse, and Brandina has run some good races, and it has run second behind Luna Wish at the same weight, but now it's getting 1.5 off. But I don't know whether the 1 off would be enough to reverse 7.25 beating. But yeah, definitely a horse to include. I want to mention to you in this race at number 7, Margot's Magic. Margot's Magic comes from Johannesburg. It runs against some good horses in Joburg. It's the first local run, and surely a horse that you would like to include into your play, and that's why I've got it in my pick 6. I've also included number 5, Glory Days. Glory Days was also in that same race where Luna Wish was, and no, I'm talking nonsense, and it was not in the same race, but it ran 3.75 lengths behind Dancing in Seattle. It's still Dancing, makes it still a good run, as Dancing in Seattle is a very good horse, so I also included that into my pick. Then we move on to race number 7, where my selection is number 2, Big Bay. Also has won 3 races in a row, but it's only had 7 runs, which has won 3 wins in 3 places. And I still think this horse is improving. It's currently 28 to 10. Gavin Smith has also got Sir Khaled. Sir Khaled has run also some good races in PE and in small futures. So definitely the horse that I would not leave out. And then another horse that I also fancy is number 1, Revere. It's down in class a little bit. This horse has got a lot of ability. It has been there and thereabouts lately, but definitely a horse that can pop up. It is trained by Alan Greef, and the jockey is Bernard Fader. Now Bernard has got the ability to add 2 or 3 lengths to the horse, and it is 14 to 1. So that's the kind of horse that you would like to pop up in your pick 6 to make it pay. Therefore, I did add it into my pick 6, and my pick 6 I've got numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5. 5 being 19 to 10, Greg Shane. Also a horse that's shown a lot of ability, and can also be a contender, or I think not can, will be a contender at the finish of this race. Then we move on to the 8th race, and the 8th race is, my selection is number 10, Swaff. Now, this horse is the first run local here, and it used to be trained by Paul Lafferty in Durban, but this horse, you never know which Swaff is going to show up. It has run some good races, and it has run some unbelievable bad races. But I do feel that this horse has run against a little bit stronger competition in Durban, and it has run on the poly. It hasn't had bad runs on the poly, so I don't think it will have a problem with the poly. It is drawn 5, which is not too bad, and I'm sure this horse will be involved in the finish. In outsider selections, I looked at number 1, Bushy Park. Not a really outsider, but they limited 2, but Bushy Park is a little bit up in class. But the main thing about Bushy Park is Bushy Park has run twice on this course and distance and won twice. So definitely a horse that you cannot leave out of any selections. And then my other selection is number 5, Duke of Cards. Duke of Cards, one is maiden here on his coconut. He's really one easy. And then last time they put it in a little bit higher division than today. It didn't show much, but I think this horse is drawn to, and today might be a day that that can show its true colors. It's not a big, it's 5-1 in the betting. And then I also want to mention a horse number 12, the Greek Soldier. Please put that in your play, maybe even the back end of your trifectas and quartets. It's 14-1. It has also got the luck, a knack of showing up and running places most unexpectedly. Luckily in the pick 6 we did put in the field, so anything can win, but if you're looking for that quartet payouts, that is a horse that you should include with the stablemate number 11, which is already a 9-year-old for luck's sake. But also this for luck's sake keeps on running places, so maybe you can add that also, like if you do a multiple or whatever, you can add that into the last leg. Yeah, so I won't, I won't say it's a difficult card, but I think the card that we can pick up a few winners, and hopefully you'll be one of the people holding a winning ticket and standing in a pair queue laughing. And yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll do the preview for the Saturday's racing. And as I always say, thank you for listening, and break your leg.